the days before Rosh Hashanah, which we are right now, are very, very special because we know that there are 6 months that are related with the male energy, and there are 6 months that are related with the female energy. This is the month that conclude the female energy because it starts from Nisan, the lunar month of Aries, and ending now, which is the energy of the vessel. And we are completing the vessel in this month of Elul. And then the next month, called Tishrei, Libra, comes, and we are connected with the male energy, which is the energy of the light. So we are concluding the vessel. Now, we know that the light that we receive is always has to do with the vessel. The light itself, the creator, is always giving endlessly, which means the creator is perfectly giving without any limitations. We know that. And the only one determine how much will be received is through the vessel. The structure of the way the world was giving is that the first 3 months were given to Jacob. Jacob, the patriarch, Yaakov Avinu. We're talking about energy levels here and the different jobs of the righteous. So Nisan, Aries, Iyar, Taurus, Sivan, Gemini were given to Yaakov, to Jacob. And the last month were given to Esau, to Esav. And it says that because Esav was connected with the impure system, even though they came from the same lineage, Abraham, Isaac, and with Sarah and Rebecca, Rivka, somehow Esau was connected with the impure system. But it says that Jacob managed to take away from Esau the month of Elul, which means Tammuz and Av were taken by Esau, and we know that at least the beginning from the 17th of Tammuz until 9th of Av, it's a very harsh, more negative time. It's controlled by Esau, and from then, remember, like 15th of Av, it completely changes. But what it really means that Jacob took it from Esau, it means about Elul, is that we can actually go into our negativity and transform it. And definitely we impact the world. It also says that one of the hints, as it's called, to the month of Elul is in this phrase. So very beautiful. So this phrase in Hebrew is Umal Hashem et levavcha ve'et levav zarecha, meaning the Creator will remove all the negativity from yourself and all of your descendants, all of your children, your heart and your descendants' hearts. And look how beautiful. The first letter in the sentence, et levavcha ve'et levav, your heart and the hearts of, as you see, the first letter makes Elul. It's very beautiful. Now, what it really means, of course, is that there are 2 things that are happening in this month. Most of us, I believe, are already in the midst of the process of looking inside of ourselves. What is it we want to transform? What is it we need to transform? What is it we did this year or previous year and we need to cleanse? But the gift of Elul is not just up to us. It's important to remember it. If it would be just up to us, honestly, it could have happened, of course, in any other month, but it would have taken us forever, and I'm not sure we would accomplish it. So what is really unique about Elul is that we get the assistance of the light of the Creator. There's a phrase that the Kabbalists would often remind us, it's in the Zohar and in many other writings of the Kabbalists, which says, the Creator says, all I need from you is to open for me an opening no wider than the eye of a needle. I will open for you the supernal gates, the entrance gates. So as it refers to Elul, as it's almost as if we just have to start the process of tshuva. We just have to start the process of looking inside, desiring to change, desiring to cleanse. And the rest will be done by the light of the Creator. And that, of course, the gift of Elul. It's not just up to us to cleanse and to grow and to change, but that we just need to start to show the Creator we're also involved in the process. And then the Creator will be, as we saw before, Malet levavcha ve'et levav zarecha. The Creator will remove all our negativity, all our impurities. It also connects to the idea of the shofar blowing before Rosh Hashanah. I tried to send some of you recordings. I don't know if you connect to it or not, but we blow the shofar throughout, at least, the month of Virgo. And what is really giving us, because we're not yet in Rosh Hashanah, right? So, but the shofar, through listening to the shofar, we receive strength, because the usual illusion of doing tshuva, again, is self-blame, as we mentioned before, which is the exact opposite of doing tshuva. What does it really mean? When a person blames himself, at the end of the day, we know he's not really changing. Okay, I'm not even talking about blaming others. So in order for us to change, we know that it's only at the hands of the Creator himself. He's the one making all the decisions. Even when we think I decided wrong, and that's why something else happened, the Creator himself must get involved in our life. The Creator is the force of light. He is the one that decides everything, even if it looks like I did it. So these are the instincts that the Creator embedded inside of us, similar to animals. Animals, they think they do something, but it's really the instinct that the Creator embedded inside of them. So of course, we do have a choice. What's really our choice? It's not just if we're going to be vegan or we're going to eat meat, but our main choice is, do we connect with the light or we go further away? What does it really mean? It's the exact opposite of what we think. It means to be harder and stronger, not with our fellow man, but with ourselves only in one area, with the certainty I have for myself. Harder and stronger certainty with myself, and of course with the light of the Creator. More certain that I am 100% certain. It says in Hebrew, Amcha kulam tzadikim, kulam yirshu aretz. Each one of us is connected to the light. To be with absolute certainty that the light is with us. And the shofar, listening to the shofar, give us the strength to be in certainty that we're with the light. Doesn't matter what happens around us and how it looks like and what people say. If you pay attention to it, every time we feel bad, whatever it is, anger, sadness, something that bothers me, bad feeling, it's really, really always coming from one thing. Yeah, of course, we always have the 1% reasons, but the core of that is because we are not certain enough in ourselves or that we are with the light. So the whole idea is to connect 100%. This is the idea of the shofar. We know that the opening to that occurred through Moses, through Moshe. Of course, it's not a coincidence. He represents Firat Netzach. Netzach is victory. Victory over what? Over the other force that convinces us not to have certainty. So I'm going to speak about Moses in two different ways, because in this week's portion, it's Aviv Vayelech, it actually described the whole story of how Moses left his body, which there are so many different secrets in that. But first, I want to refer actually to the story of the revelation at Sinai. The revelation of the 10 utterances. Remember, the Rav never liked the words 10 commandments, because the Rav said nobody commanded us to do anything. So the 10 utterances, what's called the original luchot, the original stones or tablets, before Steve Jobs, upon there was the revelation of the 10 utterances. And then the Israelites fell, and Moses fights the Creator. Because the Creator says, I'm going to destroy the Israelites. They fall in such a way that there's no way back for them. Heref mimeni v'ashmidem, the Creator says, let go of me. The Creator says to Moses, I need to destroy these people. They have fallen so far. Moses doesn't give up. Moses doesn't let in the 40 days. He argues, fights, pleads with the Creator. And just a fun fact, I don't know if you know, but Moses is the reincarnation of Noach. And with Noach, the same movie happened. The majority of the people were extremely reactive and negative. The Creator comes to Noach and he says, Noach, it's time, let's start all over with you. All the rest we can eliminate because they're very stubborn, they're extremely negative. And Noach thought that he was complete tzaddik, righteous. Yeah, he thought to himself, what can I do? He tried to help them to change, but nobody listened to him. So he said, okay, what can I do? The flood happened. Only him and his close family and the animals were saved in the ark, right? So when he comes out of the ark and he realized everybody died in the storm, he started crying. And the Creator told him, why are you crying now? Maybe if you would cry before, we could do something. So Noach reincarnated in Moses, same scenario happens. Again, same conversation. The Creator says they're not listening, they're extremely negative. Let's start all over. And the answer of Moses was very interesting. He said, if you are going to do it, mecheni na misifrecha, erase my name from your books. Mecheni na mei Noach, the water of Noach. Moses remembered that last time, even though it was complete tzaddik, righteous, it had 200% certainty in the light, but it didn't have certainty in himself. And now Moses is actually correcting it. So for 40 days, he argues, fights, and pleads with the Creator. And then those 40 days, of course, throughout the month of Elul, and all the way up to Yom Kippur, what the Creator says, Salachti kidvarecha. Everything is forgiven, everything is cleansed, everything is removed. What Moses did through that process, and again, it's not like historical story, yes, he did it for all of us now, is creating a path for those who don't deserve a path. Create an opening for those who don't deserve an opening. Create an opportunity to completely remove any negativity from those who don't deserve, okay, which is really the perfect time for us. And that's what we are unveiling ourselves on the last Shabbat, this coming Shabbat, the last Shabbat before we entering into Rosh Hashanah. Now, just for all of you to know, I think it's Friday night. It's Yom Briat HaOlam, the day of creation of the world. So you can do whatever meditation that makes sense to you. You can connect to the seed level of this world, which was unity and harmony to just reveal the light force of the Creator. It's happening in this Shabbat, very, very powerful. And then Saturday night, after midnight, I'm sure you can all connect to Kabbalah.com, or if you're near a center, we're going to do it in any of the physical centers. Just check it before you come. So we're doing something, it's the last Saturday night before Rosh Hashanah, we're doing something called Slichot. So the idea of Slichot, again, this Saturday night, you can watch it online streaming as well, which is a short connection, maybe 20 minutes. But regardless of the idea, the consciousness behind it, regardless of what we've done, regardless of how much we've failed, no matter what negativity we've created, we have that opening. The opening created by Moses opens up to us throughout the month of Elul, but more strongly as we get closer to Rosh Hashanah, and more strongly as we begin the process of Slichot. So what really happens from the last Saturday before Rosh Hashanah till Yom Kippur, we are receiving the Creator's assistance in our process of tshuva, which means, again, if you realize that the opportunity is kind of, the opportunity we have is kind of crazy because we have to do a little bit of tshuva, we have to do a little bit of introspection, of desire to change, and the Creator will change us. And even for those of us who look inside and see so much that needs to be changed and so much that we don't even deserve from the Creator, to create for us a way back or a pathway of transformation, this is the time. So it says Moses created this time for the people who the Creator says no chance. But through the process of Elul, through the process of Slichot, through the process of Rosh Hashanah, everybody can be completely transformed, because a way back doesn't mean, okay, you had 100% negativity, now the Creator says you have only 20% left. The way back means complete, that there is no soul, there is no person who cannot be cleansed. Not because the great work of tshuva, which is of course necessary, that we're doing and will continue to do, but because this is the time that, as we saw, the Creator is Mal et levavcha ve'et levav zar'echa. The Creator says, open for me just a little bit. Show me that you really care. Show me that you really want to change, that you really want to cleanse. Salachti kidvarecha. Everything will be cleansed. And that is the opportunity we have in the last Saturday before Rosh Hashanah to be cleansed completely, to be transformed completely, to become a new person. In Slichot, that evening, Saturday night, we're going to say what's called, we mentioned before, the 13 attributes, Yud Gimel Midot, which is what we spoke about before, and it's really what Moses created, a new opening for those who don't deserve. That is through the channel of what's called the 13 attributes of mercy, 13 powerful phrases that create a new pathway, even for those who don't deserve, certainly so strong for those who do. And as Rabbi Isaac Luria, the Ari, tells us, it's really the secret of Elul. So everything we spoke about till now is revealed through those 13 attributes. If we had the understanding of how powerful those phrases are to create for us a new pathway of light, it would be unimaginable for us to see the potential. And that's why we repeat it. In the connection itself, we're going to repeat it over and over again, the 13 attributes. It's the purpose of creating for ourselves that new pathway with the assistance of Moses, who revealed it, but it's really the light of the Creator, that it's really the core of what's called the Slichot. Okay, so the Creator is coming to support the revelation of the 13 attributes, which are 13 new pathways. It's not about praising the Creator. He doesn't need us to praise him. These are 13 different channels, pathways that are necessary for each individual that desire to be completely transformed, completely cleansed in this time. So it doesn't even matter what we see inside and what we need to be transformed. It can all happen through the Slichot, the 13 attributes, and through the light of the month of Elul. Okay, so we are less than a week towards Rosh Hashanah. And this coming Shabbat, as I said, it's the final Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah. Of course, that means that there is a unique revelation of light that enable us to get to the state, to the place where we need to be in order for us to receive on Rosh Hashanah the light, the life, and the year that we need. So there are two main areas of focus. Number one, when we read about the souls who are completely connected to the light of the Creator, the way they left this world, there's a tremendous amount of light in this story. But there's also an awakening for how we need to be living our lives. So if, God forbid, we need to leave this physical world, it will only be in the way of the righteous. So in the Midrash tells us the story of how Moses left this world. And just in this story, there are endless amount of lessons, stories, and spiritual awakening and consciousness that we can receive from this story. So the Creator tells the angel of death, we also call him Samech Mem, Tzeva v'neshama shel Moshe. Now it's the time. Moses is 120 years old. He completed everything he had to complete in this world. It's time for his soul to leave his body. So the Creator tells the angel of death, the Samech Mem, go and get the soul of Moses. It says miyad lavash ka'as. So the angel of death, and it's his way, he was filled with the energy of anger. V'chagar charbo, and he put on his sword. We know that these are not physical things, these are spiritual tools. We just understand them with these physical words. V'nit'atef achzariyut. Unfortunately, sometimes when people leave this world, it is through this channel of the angel of death. And it says here that the angel of death is filled with not only anger, but also this desire, God forbid, to do harm. And that's the possibility, say the Kabbalists, for those who are not in their life achieving what they're meant to be achieving, then, God forbid, when and if their time comes, the angel of death is sent in their way, in this way. So the angel of death thinks, okay, one more person, it's part of my job. My job is to take the soul. And he goes and he's dressed in an angel and he's dressed with all his might. והלך לקראתו של משה, and he goes to Moses, כיוון שראה אותו וכותב שם מפורש. And Moses at that time, of course not coincidentally, was writing the name of God. And it says when the angel of death sees that Moses is writing the name of God, וזוהר מראהו דומה לשמש, and his countenance, the light that shone off of Moses' face was like the light of the sun. והוא דומה למלאך השם צבאות, and Moses looked like an angel. היה מתיירא סמך ממשה. The angel of death in that moment was scared of Moses. We know that the serious work of Rosh Hashanah, especially with listening to the shofar, is to confuse Satan. It says that the work of the shofar and the work of Rosh Hashanah that we're going to be doing together next week, its purpose is to confuse, to completely shake up Satan, the negative force. And it's important to know it's not only the force of physical death, it's any death, any ending in creativity, in relationships, in money, and the executor of anything negative. So it's really the force that brings all death, destruction, and pain in great ways and in small ways. So why do we read that? And in this portion, why do we study before Rosh Hashanah the story of Moses elevating? Because the Kabbalists explain, Moses is giving us the ability to scare the angel of death. Moses is giving us the ability to uproot the force of the angel of death. So at this point, the Samech Mem, the angel of death, sees Moses, and he sees that he's concentrating on the names of God. He sees that he has done what he needed to do. He sees that he shines like an angel, he shines like the sun, and he was scared. אמר, ודאי שאין המלכים יכולים ליטול נשמתו של משה. I realized, the angel of death says, that no angel has the power, has the ability to take the soul of Moses. וכשראה סמך מם את משה, אחזתו רעדה וחיל כיולדה. And the angel of death at that moment was terrified in the presence of Moses. ולא מצא פתחון פה לדבר עם משה. He couldn't even say a word. Can you imagine that force? And this is what's available for us this Shabbat. The force that have brought death to billions of people throughout history. The force that brings all pain and suffering and disease and death today was terrified by Moses. He couldn't even speak. So Moses turns to him. He sees the angel of death and he says, מה תעשה בכאן? What do you think you're doing here, angel of death? אמר לו, ליטול נשמתך באתי. So the angel of death told him, I've come to take your soul. אמר לו, Moses says to the angel of death, Mishgarcha, who sent you? Like he doesn't know, of course, but remember, he's not falling into the illusion. So he's defeating, pushing it away. Who sent you? Who dare, how dare you come here? Who sent you? אמר לו, מי שברא את כל הבריות, the force who created all things. He has sent me. So Moses tell him, I don't care. אין אתה נוטל נשמתי. I'm not going to allow you to take my soul. So the angel of death says to Moses, כל באי העולם נשמתם מסורים בידי. All the souls of the world in the history, in the present, in the future, in the past, they're all in my hand. Moses says to the angel of death, יש בי כוח מכל באי העולם. Oh, really? I have greater strength than anybody who has ever been. So maybe you can take their souls, but you can never touch my soul. The reason why we want to study this powerful revelation, first, because our work beginning on this Shabbat into Rosh Hashanah is to defeat the angel of death. Defeat this force that brings all destructions and death and disease and darkness to the world. Of course, we can't do it alone. We have to have the help of Moses on this Shabbat, and we have to have the help of the shofar and our community and the Creator on Rosh Hashanah. But this is where our consciousness needs to be, to at least begin to think that we will have the strength to confuse and defeat Satan, the angel of death. And number two, the second one, and this is kind of a crazier idea, but important, to elevate our consciousness to why we are talking about death on this Shabbat. As we said, for one reason, because to show the dominance that a soul that has done what it came to this world to do has, can defeat the angel of death. Okay, but the Kabbalists say, what is really your goal for the next year? What is your goal for the next year? We're all excited to do the work, but really, what is your plan for next year? I would guarantee that none of us has made our list, at least not at the top of our list, that my goal this year is to be like Moses. In this coming year, that I control the angel of death. None of us think this way. Why? Because it's with ourselves, right? We're honest people. We know who we are and where we've been and what we've done and where is our spirituality is taking us. Sure, we're elevating, we're doing the work slowly, yeah. But does any of us really truly think there is a possibility that next year that begins on Rosh Hashanah, we're going to achieve the level of Moses? And with that level, yesh bi koach mikol ba'ei haolam. I am more powerful than anyone who has ever lived. How dare you think that you can touch me? We don't. And according to the Kabbalists, that's a big, big problem. Because this week, there's a process of death and rebirth that we're going to go through. And while it's true that the old me that is dying this year, this week, could not achieve the level of Moses, but the new me is coming, right? Why would we want to put a limit? And that's why on this Shabbat, before Rosh Hashanah, we have to understand and read and connect deeply the secret of Moses and his control. Sorry. So this needs to be our desire for next year. As we're going through the process of death and rebirth towards Rosh Hashanah, this needs to be our goal. And if we don't believe that this is even possible or a possibility, we won't be achieving and receiving what we meant to be receiving. So through this reading of this portion, we receive the strength to confuse and to control and to defeat. This is really the work. And second, what is my plan for next year? This is my plan for next year. We're going to be completely reborn. Why putting any limitation on my potential, the new person I'm going to be? This needs to be your plan of also preparing. Now, Moses says to the angel of death in this time of the story, Lech rasha mikan, you evil one, go away from here. Lech brach milfanai, run away from me. Ani noten nishmati lecha, I do not give you my soul. And then it says, Miyad chazar samech mem ve'eshiv devar lifnei gvura. So the angel of death doesn't know what to do. He goes back to the creator. Amar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu lesamech mem. Again, the creator tells to the angel of death, Bo ve'aver nishmato shel Moshe. Go and do your job. Go and get the soul of Moses. Miyad shalav charbo mita'aro ve'amad al Moshe. He takes out his sword. And again, it's not a physical sword. And he was standing in front of Moses with his sword. Miyad katzaf alav Moshe. Moses gets angry again at the angel of death. V'natal et hamate biyado shechakuk bo Hashem al-forash. He takes his staff. We know that Moses had a staff with the name of God, Yud Kei Vav Kei, the tetragrammaton on it. V'natal keren odo miben enav. And he took his light that he had. Ve'iver et enav. And he made the angel of death blind. So now Moses is not just making sure that the angel of death won't touch him. Now the angel of death is blind. This is the beginning of the end, Bezrat Hashem, God willing, of the angel of death. Okay? So every generation, the Kabbalists prepare the ball for us to put the goal in, to kick it into the basket. Okay? Put it in the basket, kick it in the goal, however you want to call it. It's all prepared for us. And then it says, Yet stabat kol, a voice came out from the heavens and said to Moses, Igia sof mitotcha, it's time. Your soul doesn't need, it's time for your soul to leave your body. So Moses says to the creator, now it's very interesting in the story, he goes through his biography. And he says, remember when we first met at the burning bush? Remember everything that you've asked me to do and I did it for you? בבקשה ממך, אל תמסרני ביד מלאך המוות. We're connected. I've done everything that you asked my soul to do in this world. Please do not allow the angel of death to touch my soul. יצאה בת קול ואמרה, אל תתיירא. A voice came out and says, don't be afraid, Moses. אני בעצמי מטפל בך ובקבורתך. I, the creator, will be the only one involved with your soul living and the entire process of the burial of your body. באותה שעה, on that moment, עמד משה וקידש עצמו כשרפים. On that moment, Moses, it says, elevated himself, purified himself, prepared himself, וירד הקדוש ברוך הוא משמי שמיים העליונים ליטול נשמתו של משה. And the creator came down to be the force, the one to assist the soul of Moses leaving his body. And it says he brought with him 3 angels, Michael, Gabriel, and Zagzagael. Michael הוציא מיטתו של משה, the angel Michael prepared the bed. Gabriel פרס בגד של בוץ מראשותיו. Angel Gabriel put a beautiful piece of cloth at the head of the bed. And Zagzagael מרגלותיו. And the angel Zagzagael prepared the bottom of the bed. So the creator says to Moses, השקף עיניך זה על גב זה. Close your eyes one after the other. Moses is lying, of course, on his bed that the angels have prepared. Moses listens and he closes one eye and then the other. אמר לו, הנך ידך על החזה. The creator tells Moses, take your arms, fold them and put them on your chest, and which he did. אמר לו, עקב רגלך זה על גב זה. The creator tells him, put one foot over the other foot, which he did. In that moment, קרא הקדוש ברוך הוא לנשמה מתוך גופו. In that moment, the creator tells the soul of Moses, please come out of the body. The creator says to the soul of Moses, my daughter, 120 years, 120 שנה קצבתיך היותך בגופו של משה. I knew and I signed you to be in this body for 120 years. עכשיו הגיע קצך לצאת, but now is the time for you, for your soul to leave the body of Moses. And the soul says to the creator, master of the world, נפש החיים והמתים מסורים בידך. Of course, the souls of the living and those who are no longer living are on your hand. Is there a more pure body in the world than the body of Moses? And the soul says, לכן אני אוהבת אותו. I love this body, the soul says. This is, by the way, is the other part of preparation for Rosh Hashanah. First, we said, we want to be the elevated soul that can tell all angels, but even, God forbid, the angel of death, that there has been anybody more powerful than me, and take control of that angel. And then, number 3 is the body, that hopefully the new and purified and empowered soul this year, my body, is going to be like the body of Moses, where after 120 years, the soul tells the creator, I love this body. Now, if we take a poll of our soul and our body, I'm not sure how many of our souls will say, I love this body. Because if we've done and we do negative things with the body, of course, the soul doesn't feel so comfortable. But this should be our plan for this year, that our soul in this year will say, I love this body so much that what we can achieve, and we must, as said before, we must be preparing ourselves for this. The creator hears the soul saying it. Dear soul, he says, the body of Moses is a great place to be, but I promise you to take you right next to me in the heavens. You will enjoy it at least as much you enjoyed being, in this body and love being in the body of Moses. The soul's still fighting, saying, no, I know the heavens are beautiful, she says, but the body of Moses, I love it and I want to be in it. In that moment, it says the creator kissed Moses and his soul left his body, the way that the elevated souls, the purified souls, directly into reconnecting with the creator. So with a kiss with the creator, it actually means reconnecting with his source. That's why it says that Moses never died. Yeah, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says in the Zohar, Moses never died. So we read about Moses leaving this world, because this is the preparations for Rosh Hashanah. This has to be our goal. Each one of us, going this week through a process of death and rebirth. The rebirth does not have to be limited. So what are we asking for? That we will achieve a level this year where we can tell every angel that anybody more powerful than me didn't exist because what I'm going to do this year. Second, to the angel of death, we can tell him, I'm going to make you run away. I'm going to be so powerful. And third, my body is going to be so pure that my soul won't find no greater place to rest than in this physical elevated body. Now, there's a story, beautiful story, about one of the students of one of the biggest righteous Kabbalists called Jose of Lublin, the seer of Lublin. And the story is about the idea that this person, every Rosh Hashanah, as we know, it's so important to come together, the merit to come together with the collective to awaken light for the new year. So he was a very simple man, and he was a water carrier, and he didn't have a lot of money, but he saved all of his month so that one time a year he can be with his teacher, with the Jose of Lublin, the seer of Lublin. And by the way, he has the same elevation day of our teacher Keren, so very powerful. So he would come every year to spend Rosh Hashanah with his teacher, with the seer of Lublin. And he didn't really know the meditations. He didn't really know how to pray well. But the highlight of his year was when he entered into the room of his teacher, Rosh Hashanah, the evening of Rosh Hashanah before, and his teacher would say, Moshe, so good to have you with us. And that was the highlight of his year. Then he knew everything is going to be just fine. So he's going to be with his teacher for Rosh Hashanah, and everything is going to be perfect this year. So 1 year is coming to his teacher, to the seer of Lublin. It's Rosh Hashanah Eve. He traveled far away. He comes to the seer, he enters into the room, and the seer of Lublin looks at him and he says, go home. And Moshe is both shocked and upset. What do you mean, go home? I traveled all the way just to be with you. It's Rosh Hashanah. You've been telling me it's so important, and now you're telling me to go home. Doesn't make any sense. And remember, it was the highlight of his year, and now he's even more nervous. I can't spend Rosh Hashanah with my teacher. Oh my God, what does it mean about my year? And so he's completely broken. He's leaving the room of his teacher, and he starts packing his stuff. His teacher told him to go home. He got to leave. But before he leaves, there was a little inn pub where all the other students, the lucky ones that got to stay, they were all coming and they were all excited. So he said, you know what? Before I go home, I might as well get a drink before I head back home. And he's clearly broken. He's crying because this also means that his year is not going to be the year he was hoping for. So he sits down, he orders a drink, and the rest of the students who are there, they come around and they start asking him, what are you doing? Why are you crying? Why are you so upset? And he tells them the whole story. Every year I come, this is the highlight of my year. The guarantee of my year is when I enter into my teacher's room and he says to me, Moshe, it's so great to have you with us. And this year he told me to go home. He kicked me out. So he said, I'm broken because I didn't get the moment of my year. But also, more importantly, Rosh Hashanah. So he's crying and he's upset, and more students gathered around him. And they said, Moshe, don't be upset. Let's at least have a drink. Let's at least, do some cheers, l'chaim here. So they start drinking together and they start wishing each other Shana Tova, Happy New Year. And they said, Moshe, you're going to have an amazing year. Shana Tova, Shana Tova. Everybody wish each other. Another student come. And by now it's like 150 students all gathered together to raise the spirit of poor Moshe, not going to be with his teacher. And in Rosh Hashanah, finally, after about an hour, everybody is wishing him Shana Tova, giving him hugs, giving him support. One student says to him, you know what, Moshe? If I were you and my teacher would tell me not to be with him in Rosh Hashanah, I would ignore him. I would just go. So Moshe, if I were you, I would just go back. He goes back to the Seer of Lublin. He knocks on the door, and the Seer says to him, Moshe, so good to have you with us. And he gives him a hug. And Moshe, at this point, is very confused. A few hours ago, he told him to leave. Now he's so excited to see him. So he asked his teacher, tell me what's going on. I was here a few hours ago. You told me to go home. Now you're so happy to see me. You want me to stay with you for Rosh Hashanah? He says, so the Seer answered him, I have to tell you the truth. He said, the first time when you came to me, I saw the angel of death dancing around you. I realized that means that you're going to leave this world soon. And if you live in this world soon, you might as well spend as much time as you can with your family. So I send you home. And he said, but something must have happened in the last hour or for the last few hours before you came to me. And now I see that the angel of death has gone away. And he tells his teacher, well, all that happened is that I was sitting with my friends, the rest of the students, and we were just drinking and just wishing each other Shana Tova from our heart and just want the best for everyone. So the Seer of Lublin says to him, it must be that you gather together with the collective and just wanting from their heart to just wanting the best for everyone for the next year was able to remove the judgment that was in your movie. Just the heart connection and the soul connection was able to remove that judgment from his movie. So we shared in the last 6 sessions, and it's all available on my YouTube channel. You can always go back to it in this week and also until Yom Kippur. And to be honest with you, we should do tshuva all year around. We don't need to wait for Rosh Hashanah, but we shared very, very important preparation for Rosh Hashanah. But I really want to bless all of us that first we understand what we learn, and that this Shabbat, we really plan for the year, because we're going through a process of death and rebirth in this week, and we're going to become in this year without any limitation as powerful as Moses, who can tell the angel of death, there has never been anybody more powerful than me. We are going to have the strength this year, B'ezrat Hashem, I bless all of us and the world, to send away and confuse and defeat the angel of death. And the reason we're going to be able to do it is because we're going to connect with the collective with love and respect. So we want to connect internally, but also with the collective, with our communities. It's much more powerful this way to, our worldwide communities. Usually we have like 10,000 people streaming and a couple of thousands, I think it's by now less than 2,000 in the big event in New York, and we always have hundreds of people in our locations. But because we also care for the world, not just our families and our communities, but also the world, we will be guaranteed, B'ezrat Hashem, as the Ari tells us, Bitzrora dil'ela devei chayei kola, that our soul will be attached completely to the source of limitless light, life, and blessings. And B'ezrat Hashem, we will have the merit to both understand this and do this work on this Shabbat and in this week. And we would guarantee a Shana Tova, a good, blessed, sweet year. And before I'm going to take questions, I just want to share with you that you can still make your donation. It's extremely important with the right consciousness. Let me just put it here. If you're not watching this from your phone, you can just scan it or just text me, let me know, email me, whatever, DM me for the link. Really remove, everything we spoke about now to really help us, in our internal work and collective work. And of course, everything we do, of course, the center, allowing other people to connect, remove negativity from their lives and bring miracles into their lives. If you're a channel for that, of course, that's the kind of light you receive back, which is immortality, which is the highest. Uno, dos, tres. Shana
Tova.
Tova.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank
We'll
you.
see you next year. We'll see you next year. Take care.
Indeed.
Love you.
All the light and
Love you so-
blessing. Take care.
Take care.